Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Mac. We are just into the middle of the foot massage because my client came with a case of Kegels. I think you can say that, right? Well, anyway, it's edema in the ankles. And it's probably caused by the flight, where sometimes your foot swell a lot. So you will see me work on the flexor of the foot a lot. So that's why we're starting right away with the foot. And you will see me work some lympho drainage. I know lympho drainage is like so boring to watch, but it's super so. But if you learn a technique, you can help your girlfriend when she comes back from work to release all that extra water. We did a good job with this former bodybuilder. And we start right away with some opening of the joint, some manipulation, some opening of the fascia, of the bottom of the fascia especially, and some mobilization of the ankle. I will not talk for all the video, and I will explain only when it's necessary, and you will see more technique. The more, of course, you see the video, that's pretty obvious. The more you see, the more you watch. And I'll let you enjoy the video for now.
Do you do like reflexology?
No. I studied, but I'm not really into it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in just try to release the fascia of the flexor, because you probably use it that much. And yeah, just keep space. Have you tried reflexology before?
Mm-hmm.
How does it work for you?
I think it works, you know.
But for the foot or for the organ?
For usually like my, this area,
Mm.
my hamstrings. I've had like your neuromuscular massages. Those are really good.
When you say neuromuscular, what do you mean?
It's like a lot of pulling instead of pressing to like, I guess, it's kind of like loosening up the fascia and like all the layers.
Mm-hmm.
I can't describe it. I'm not a professional, but I've had that kind of massage, and then I usually do just deep tissue. Sometimes she'll use the cupping. I've had Graston, like those little metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Does it work for you, Graston?
Yeah, I've had that like on my shoulders and stuff when that was like kind of hurting at one point. And then I've had somebody try like the Theragun on me, when those first came out. And then like hot stones. I do it all, whatever they suggest.
Try to give me some dorsiflexion and dorsiflexion.
Here?
The opposite.
Oh.
Yeah. And change it again. Good. Let's do this movement really slow. Yeah.
Ooh. Ah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Pain.
Yeah. And back. Again. Okay. Let's do it again. And back. Okay.
Project manager. I'd love to be a party manager.
Let's do this. With your foot, you go in the front. Yeah, back and forth like before. Really slow. Let me just start. Let's go back here, back.
This way?
Yeah. And now gently go in the front. And keep on doing that, please. Moving your fascia.
So now you can see an intensive technique that help the socket, the socks of the foot. What is it? We have this kind of a sock that go all the way into the knee, and sometimes the sock can get like adhesion. So with the help of flexion extension of the ankle, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, we are trying to move that socks up. Imagine that socks can get a loose elastic. What we're doing is just like try to put that socks up with the use of movement. Really interesting technique, can be really helpful for split shin too. And I always add some dynamic movement into the soleo and into the inner part of the limb. Let's go up and down again. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, my calves are not as sore as I thought they would be.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my...
And now some mobilization of the hips. Hopefully I don't cover the camera. So this mobilization is it's interesting mobilization, not only because it's working the hips, but in the same time you can see I dorsiflex and plantar flex the ankle. So what we're doing is really moving all that liquid that is stuck into the ankle. We're moving it down into the body. So it's a really interesting technique to adopt to release all the lympha that is stuck in the ankle. So I generally use this to start the lympho drainage and to finish the lympho drainage.
little bit of dorsiflexion. Yeah. So.
Get back and forth.
Yeah. Thank you.
More?
Yes. I'm doing. Yeah. So you travel with your family or friends from the university?
My boyfriend and his family.
Oh, all family, 9 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The youngest is 7.
The movement here up and down really slow.
And now the lympho drainage. I think this is probably the most boring, sleepy technique you can watch. So, but what we're doing, we are like releasing all the liquid, all that extra cellular water, and we're starting from the quad, and then eventually we start again from the ankle. So you want to remember, you want to start from the quad. You can even start from the hips and then do the quad and then do the ankle. The idea is to move all the liquid that is in the leg into the mainstream of circulation. And then on the sternum, you want to move into See, here is another technique. Try to open up, try to pump a little bit. So the difference between the massage I was doing before and this is there's really gentle. You just want to go to the first layer and give this gentle pump into the body. It's a really gentle pump, as you can see. And now, again, the technique I was doing before, so you can see another angle. See how it's really important that you move that ankle, so in dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, while you do all the movement. So that's really helpful. And then you start again the lympho drainage starting from the ankle. As you can see, you want to be really gentle and move everything up. Well, I think it's pretty explanatory what I'm gonna do, so I'll let you enjoy the video, or I'll let you fall asleep, one of the two, I guess. We move now into the back chain. So the back chain, as we know, start from the bottom of the feet all the way up into the neck and the occiput. And there are so many muscles, especially in the glutes, that need to be addressed. So I will talk about piriformis, I will talk about the glute medius, and the way to do this, it's using as a leverage the lower limb. So right now I'm warming up the back chain. I'm not going too strong. I like working the bicep femoris from this part of the table because I allow you to stretch, to give a neuromuscular stretch, a myofascial stretch to the even to the lateral side of the chain. And here some more movement into the ankle, where we see that the more you move, the more the liquid in the ankle is gonna go away. And then some work tibialis posterior. Remember, when you plantar flex, you're gonna watch out what you're doing because you wanna press too much or you're gonna hurt your client. And then you can use both arm and both hands and try to massage the gastrocnemius, the soleo. And here some classical pin and stretch. So when you pin, you just don't want to pin. You want to kind of stretch the fascia up. It's not just pressing down. You want to stretch the fascia up. So one thing that is people get really wrong when we do active release technique, it doesn't have to be painful. You have to create the right amount of tension so that you give information to the central nervous system where the fascia and where the muscle is supposed to go. So what I mean, like right now, for example, I'm working the end of the bicep femoris. So I stretch and I ask with my finger to the muscle and to the fascia to go in the direction of the hips. So you just don't press down, you just press and stretch a little bit. Really important. It doesn't have to be necessarily painful. That's what really works, guys, because you don't want the client to become super tense. And here's some work with a different tool. You can use the elbow. See, every time is pressing and stretching, pressing and stretching. I really love my job. I think everybody that love massage should really learn this kind of technique, because I think that between all the technique I learned, probably the most helpful to help athletes after workout, after a long travel. And here we have some different work. Instead of working longitudinally, we work laterally. So we kind of spread that fascia in between the semitendinoso, semimembranoso, and the bicep femoris to create more space. Generally, in that fascia in the middle, that I now don't remember the name, it's where you find a lot of trouble, and this can help release that kind of trouble. See you can put a lot of weight if you want. It's not really painful most of the time into the hamstring. Now some work on the piriformis muscle. As you can see, we got an internal rotation while we'll press and stretch. Glute medius, a muscle that it's most of the time super tense and weak. We always find that one of the two glute medius are tighter or are painful or are weak. So it is because the lateral sling is always out of alignment for some reason. And for some reason, because we have different strength, the left or the right depends how much how you perform your sport or even your everyday life. So you have an inclination to use the left or the right more, and that creates an imbalance in the lateral swing. And the hips is where everything connects, where the power coming from the ground and all the forces coming from the gravity they meet in this wonderful bone that is the group of bone that is the hip joint, and where all this connection, all this muscle, all this force meet. And that's why most of the time the glute medius and the TFL are pretty tight, because they're a little muscle compared to the glute max. And if the glute max doesn't really activate, the glute med is suffering a lot. And here some mobilization of the sacroiliac joint, and we start working even on the lumbar. So I like this technique because it creates a dynamic, kind of a dynamic Thai massage. And here you can have some stretch. See how it's stretching the joint, you're stretching the QL, and you can even try to create a mobilization of the vertebra. So you point into the vertebra with the thumb, and in the same time you create rotation. So you're moving the vertebra in one direction. And then you can go into the opposite part of the vertebra and start working into the rotators. So it's a different kind of work. You got to really figure it out what you want to achieve with your massage. If you find, for example, a rotation of the sacrum in one direction and a rotation of the spine in the opposite direction, you want to try to correct that. You want to try to correct the sacrum. You want to try to correct the spine. Here's some work on the thoracic, and then we go into the back.
your back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here you can see again some close-up work on the ankle and on the calf. You will see some other technique that I didn't show before. So this releasing is really helpful because if you massage and then you give this dynamic movement into the muscle, they are more prone to let it go. And then some rotation in, rotation out. Some more work on the base of the foot. That feels really good. I can attest. All my clients love that kind of work. And here some close work on the semitendinoso, semimembranoso. So you can always go into the adductor longus. Some pin and stretch. See, that's what I was saying. If you pin the insertion of the hamstring, you gentle massages, and then you stretch it, that really let the muscle release and go. And then you can go into the middle, in that fascia in the middle. And then some more. This is a classical sport technique. You see a lot of athletes in between competition receiving this kind of technique, especially in tennis, when they pull an hamstring. Now we're going to start working into the glutes. Maybe not yet. Yeah, another technique with the thumb. Actually, sorry, with the shaft of the elbow all the way into the glutes. So people ask me how many massages do a day. Depends. I generally do 4 to 5. After 5, I start getting really tired. If you add the fact that I'm working out, this is a really tough work to do. It's really physical, especially when you do a massage like this. It's not that you're just rubbing people with oil. It's working, using your body, and it can be really tiring and burn you out. So I learned that after 4 or 5, I become really tired. I know people that can do like 10 massages a day, but they have a more day off. So I don't have a lot of day off. Sometimes I work every day. I think I'm more like a crossfitter than a bodybuilder when it's about how much work I put into into the massage. It's more like a high intensity interval massage instead of like a bodybuilding routine kind of massage. I don't know if you follow me what I'm saying, but that's the way I work. It's intensity work for 4, 3, 5 hours a day. And then here, this technique that's why I wanted to talk on top of this. This technique is really helpful, especially for the ligament. Here we work on a sacrotuberous ligament. A lot of people have the sacrotuberous ligament really tense, and generally it's people with problem in the hamstring. So people that have a really tight hamstring, the sacrotuberal ligament is tight too, because the hamstring go into the sacro, so they continue there. They have a fascial connection. And of course, the glute medius is always tense for everybody. I like to give some kind of pressure there. Sometimes I just stay there for a while until the muscle relax. And then another sport technique you can use to work the protagonist and antagonist muscle in the same time. And here sometimes you hear a pop of the pelvis. And here some stretch the iliopsoas while you can push down the front of the sacroiliac joint and the femur. All right, guys, we are almost at the end. You saw some work on the thoracic. We are now finishing the work into the neck and into the occiput. So guys, if you like my video, subscribe. And if you are a model and you want to be part of the channel, I offer 50% discount to everybody that want to be into the channel. Because of my subscriber, we are looking for female models, as you know. Most of the views come from female models, not to male models. So, well, let me understand that that's what you want to see. And guys, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.
When you feel, because I can do
Pretty good.
Yeah.